Ladies and gentlemen, let us talk about the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, as well as Mantle. So there has been a brief interview with Oxide Games, the partner anyway, Dan Baker, and he is currently developing a Nitrous, which is a next-generation engine, which is going to be running on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, as well as the PC. Now, it just so happens that Nitrous is actually going to be supporting Mantle. And he commented the Xbox One and PS4 have APIs for accessing the GCN architecture directly. So Mantle in itself isn't needed for that. The main advantage Mantle gives us is the ability to have console-like performance, particularly in batch performance on the PC. At AMD's recent Developers Summit, Oxide demonstrated a PC running at over 100,000 batches per second. Before now, this type of performance on PC was unheard of. Meanwhile, Johan Anderson, who is the technical director at Frostbite, on the Frostbite engine DICE, was also speaking at this development summit, and he said, he was speaking a little bit on the PS4 Mantle, and he says, we do have a build and continue to maintain our OpenGL and DirectX rendering path, but we really try to avoid limiting ourselves to what we can do with those APIs. So I think going forward, the main things to drive the design will be in Frostbite, and the type of optimizations we will do, and what we can do with Mantle, and also what we can do with the PS4. PS4 has its own graphics API that's really quite programmable, and really a lot of control of the performance from it, so you can share the concepts, methods, and various types of hardware level optimizations between those, and see where we end up, which is quite exciting. Also, it's worth noting that it was further confirmed that the PS4's libraries, development libraries for the graphics of course, are very similar to Mantle. So what does any of that mean? Well, honestly speaking, pretty much exactly where we left off. Right now, the primary issue with PCs is the CPU overhead when it comes to actually issuing commands to the GPU, because you have a very high abstraction layer. In other words, you have to go through several... It's basically like me trying to tell you how to go to... I don't know, how to find a shop down the road, but rather than me telling you directly, I have to instead go through your friend Bob, who has to then go through your friend Steve, who then has to go through your friend Anne, who then eventually tells you. Okay, I may be slightly oversimplifying it, and maybe bastardizing the truth just a little bit, but you kind of get the idea. In other words, it's not direct access, and, more to the point, because it's kind of a general API, I'm talking about DirectX and OpenGL, it leads to a few issues. In other words, you're pretty much smoothing over the subtle nuances of the architecture, and therefore you're pretty much reducing the GPU's performance. This means that you're getting less batches, less draw calls, which basically means you can draw less stuff on screen. Now, the PC manages to basically power through this. So, in short, yes, PC versions of games still look better than even the next generation console. But, if Mantle does manage to take off, they'll look even better still. More to the point, if you have lower end hardware, you're going to have better performance. So let's assume that previously, just an example, you required something like a GTX 660, for example, I'm just making this up, to get acceptable performance at your chosen resolution. You may be able to get the same type of performance with, say, a 650 GPU. Well, that is, of course, and this leads us to the next point, if NVIDIA starts to embrace this, which is one of the biggest problems. Right now, of course, we know it's definitely working shinily with AMD, but NVIDIA is still kind of up in the air. As for the Xbox One and the PS4, it's pretty good that both systems allow low-level access. There are comments from a few developers, most noticeably possibly Corinne Yu, although she did delete some tweets, but some of them were screenshotted, and it seemed that she wasn't particularly happy working on the Windows 8 type of APIs. Now, It's unclear just how much she was referring to the Xbox One in her statements. Regardless, she does seem pretty damn happy with the PlayStation 4's API, but I guess we're just gonna have to play the waiting game regarding the Xbox One. As far as I understand it, they have made it much lower access than, well, let's say with the DirectX for the PC. Regardless, hopefully you've enjoyed this fairly short video, but I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.